It's time for another RendTV Rewind, where we look back at highlights from RendTV over the first 12 months. Each year we are fortunate to have top industry leaders join us in Monte Carlo to chat about the industry and share their insights. This year, Hamilton CEO Brian Duperreault joined us for the first time on RendTV. As always, he gave us a lot to think about.
The hot topics for the rendezvous, well, I've just gotten here. But I'm certain that Hamilton's impact on the industry is going to be number one. I mean, everybody's talking about it. But I'd say certainly alternative capital, pricing. You know, I think pricing is always a topic at a rendezvous. Is it going up? Is it going down? You know, maybe the impact of regulation on us and other industries. And lastly, probably technology. You know, what's it doing to us, and are we all coping with the rapid change in technology capability that all industries are facing? A decent percentage of the cat business is in the ILS market, and so it's added capacity. Certainly, it's added a benefit to the customer. You have to give it that. You know, the cost of capital for them is a little less, so better pricing. There's limitations in the coverage, and so there's some balance that has to be maintained. In the in the other side, the hedge fund capital is also a topic. You know, it's not really deployed in the cat business. It's more in say frequency, low severity business. But I think it's making a little bit of an inroad in that area, and so I think that you're having like two ends of the spectrum, so to speak. You know, the very high end cat and the low end frequency getting a bit crowded with extra capital. But I think basically in between, nothing yet. What are the strengths and weaknesses of technology and modeling? Well, I'd say to start with, it's always data. I mean, do you have the data? And we're modeling very infrequent events. Even the hurricanes, very infrequent. There's still not a good model about landfall. There's some intensity that you can get. You can model what happens after the fact, but there's very little going on about will it happen? Will it happen more this year than next? And if you're talking about seismic events, there's even less frequency. And so I think there's just natural limitations in those events. And then you get to some of the other perils, like what we call the non-modeled perils, and there's real limitations because you just don't have the data, the ability to predict. That could be certain kinds of natural events. It could be terrorism. I think you have to have the models. I think the industry is so much better in the way it deploys its capital today than it was before the models got started 20 years ago. But you have to have a healthy respect for them as well. They don't do everything. Is the industry prepared for the unthinkable terror event? Well, I'm not sure. I don't know how big that is. It's a little scary when you say it that way. Certainly the industry was shocked at 9/11. There's no question about it. It was an event no one had predicted. We weathered that storm pretty well, I think, all things considered. The U.S. Government has enacted TRIA several times. I think they'll do it again. I think that's taken a lot of the real extreme concern away from the industry, particularly for the nuclear or biological kinds of events. And the industry itself, I think, over the time has built up its capital, and it's better prepared for the more conventional, still difficult to predict, not a modeled kind of event. And so again, you have to be very careful about how you deploy your capital. But who knows? If it's unthinkable, I'm not sure. I don't think anybody can answer that question. I think from the scientists I talk to, I'm involved in an organization called BIOS, which is an oceanographic research center in Bermuda. We talk about it, and I think the expectation is the events would be more intense, maybe not more frequent, but certainly if they happen more intense, and that I think is bearing out to some degree in what we see. So I think we have to be prepared for windstorms that are less ones and more twos, more threes and fours, that kind of thing. But I think the industry is pretty resilient about these things. manages its capital well, and so I think we're ready. It's what we do for a living. So where is growth coming for Hamilton Re? And there's a variety of places it could come from. We have, I think, unique advantages, and you have to have an advantage. You have to have a reason to exist, particularly in this marketplace with more capacity than demand. So we have, to start with, a great management team, and we're building it. We're building on it, going from strength to strength. We have a strategic partner, Two Sigma, both for investments and for technology, and that puts us, I think, in a very unusual, maybe unique position with respect to that partnership and its capabilities. And last, we have a clean slate. We're not inhibited. We're not bound by the past and legacy issues that others have. So we have the ability to open up and create maybe the insurance company of the future, let's say. Right? So all that points to organic growth in through technology. I'm not sure that we're going to grow in places no one else has grown before, but I think we're going to apply technology and make a difference in existing lines of business in the U.S., out of Lloyd's, certainly in Bermuda, and then possibly emerging markets. I wouldn't rule out an acquisition. I wouldn't rule that out, but I think for now we're very strongly moving to develop our platforms both in the U.S. and in Lloyd's, and perfecting the one in Bermuda and growing organically.
Throughout December, we are rewinding highlights of popular reports from 2014. Full versions of all RendezVous reports are always viewable from our on-demand library. And keep it here in the coming year for even more world risk and insurance news on RendezVous.